News.
Breaking news and stimulating talk. KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Roof Rescue. As we've been telling you about this afternoon, the North Logan Walmart has been evacuated because of a bomb threat. The threat was reported at around 3:40. So about almost an hour and a half ago. With the very latest on this, let's go to KBNU's Will Philwright. Will?
Yeah, that's right, Bill. The store does still remain evacuated at this point, although a lot of the employees are still gathered together in the parking lot waiting to see if they will be going back into the building. A few employees have been allowed in to gather some things and then leave. Law enforcement is still in the process of figuring out if this threat has any merit, and they don't know at this point. I spoke to North Park Police Chief Kent Goodrich last hour, and he explained what prompted this huge police presence after a bomb threat came into the store.
Two suspects approached a Walmart employee and indicated that they had a bomb on them, and then walked out. The employee called dispatch, and law enforcement responded. So out of an abundance of caution, we evacuated the building and called for K-9 unit now. That is going through clearing the building row by row, basically, to make sure that there is not a threat here.
Now, that employee was able to provide a description of the suspects, and according to emergency radio communications, it sounds as though officers have been able to review security camera footage and were able to get a capture of the suspects leaving the store in a white four-door sedan. Police, of course, looking for that vehicle now in and around this vicinity to see if they can try to find these two suspects. They do not have really much else to go on. The employee said that they just made the threat that they had a bomb and then left. That was it. Now, multiple law enforcement agencies throughout the valley have responded here to the store to assist in this investigation and also clearing to make sure that everyone gets out safely and was able to evacuate safely. Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Cache County Sheriff's Office, both were here, along with Utah Highway Patrol, North Park police officers, of course, Logan City, Smithfield City, and then Utah State University has come in with the help of their bomb-sniffing dog. And Kent Goodrich said primarily this is mainly just out of an abundance of caution.
Heavy police presence is an abundance of caution given the state of affairs throughout the country today with the shooting that happened recently this last week, with the hoax calls that have come in. We just don't know until you know. That is what we're doing today, is an effort to make sure that the citizens here are safe.
Now, at this point, they don't believe that anyone in the area is threatened in any way. Police don't know, though, when this store will reopen. Reporting live from North Logan, Will Philwright for KVNU News.
All right. Thank you again, Will. And so that situation does continue in North Logan. We'll keep you up to date here on KVNU and also CacheValleyDaily.com. KBNU weather for tonight, mostly cloudy skies, becoming partly cloudy later on, and the overnight low tonight in the mid-20s. Partly cloudy, then becoming mostly cloudy on Saturday, but mid-40s for the high. 41 has been our high today. It's 39 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by U&I Furniture. U&I customers come back again and again because they love the quality and value they find. Always a better buy at U&I, downtown Logan, 28 West, 1st North.
This is David from Roof Rescue.
A roof is not something most people think about until they notice a leak on the ceiling. This time of year, fluctuation in temperatures, along with rain, snow, and ice, can do a number on your roof. If you notice these leaks, they won't go away on their own and are oftentimes a sign that the roof has reached the beginning of the end of its life. Call Roof Rescue for a free analysis, diagnosis, and estimate. Let's fix those leaks and keep you dry this winter. Call 435-999-4268 or visit roofrescueusa.com. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
KVNU News Time is 5:10. A former Idaho high school basketball coach awaiting trial on 20 rape charges was arrested Tuesday in Franklin County for 3 additional sex crime charges. 52-year-old Wade Lee Schwanevelt has been indicted by an Ada County grand jury on 3 counts of sexual battery on a minor. The indictment alleges that Schwanevelt made sexual contact with a minor 16 at the time in February 2014, according to court documents. When she testified at a November preliminary hearing, one of the victims claimed a sexual relationship began while she and her team were in Boise for a basketball tournament. According to her testimony, the victim and her then coach had sex multiple times while they were in Boise for the tournament in February 2014. Schwanevelt made his initial appearance with the Ada County Court through Zoom from the Cache County Jail. Following the hearing, he was remanded to the custody of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, which booked him into the Cache County Jail. A bail amount has yet to be set, according to court records. KBNU News Time is 5:11, and for the latest on the bomb threat at the North Logan Walmart, we'll have it for you here on KBNU, and also check CacheValleyDaily.com.
Most people who buy from UNI Furniture are repeat customers. They come back again and again. So it's important to UNI to sell furniture with value and quality. And UNI loves what they do. They support local manufacturers and American-made brands. UNI's line of Southern Motion specializes in reclining furniture. Best Brand Furniture offers more petite styles. And UNI just added Klosner, who has a wide range of options and takes lots of special orders. It's a family-owned 4th-generation furniture store where value and quality is and always has been offered. That's why it's always a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. If you own firearms, it's your responsibility to make sure they're always stored safely. Hiding them in a closet or drawer is not enough. Kids know where they are. Research shows the risk of injury and death is lower if guns are stored unloaded and locked up, with the ammunition locked in a separate place. This is important when children are young, as well as when they grow into teenagers. For more, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
I lived alone and was having problems with my landlord. He's a creep. One night I'm watching TV and I hear my landlord letting himself in. Hey, get out. You can't keep coming in.
I'm just here to fix your fridge and spend some time together.
Get out. I'm reporting you.
Don't make a federal case of it.
A federal case? Sexual harassment in housing is against federal law. If you are harassed, file a complaint with HUD. Go to HUD.gov/fair housing. If you fear for your safety, call 911. Fair housing. The law is on your side. A message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, college scholarships for the children of law enforcement, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on the USDSA and how you can help, visit usdeputy.org.
Trust this kid any further than I can throw him.
Well, with your bad knee, Ed, you shouldn't throw anybody.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show, Friday. It is time for the For the People movie show. Andy Morgan joining us in just a bit. New films in theaters this week that you can get out and see. The one that has gotten my curiosity most picked is Dungeons and Dragons. But the only reason, I'm not a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan, but this is the biggest film opening in Cache Valley this weekend. And what's piqued my interest about this is that it's a write-off. Well, it feels like a write-off movie, something for fans that, like the Halo film, or the Halo series, which was actually pretty good, by the way. Or like recently we had another installment of Mortal Kombat. There are people out there who love these, and they're going to go see them, and the movie's going to make money. And they're cheap movies to make because they're not paying, any big-name actors or writers or directors to make them. So that's what I chalk this up as. But looking at some of the response from the public and from critics, this one seems to be a hit. People are absolutely loving it. So we'll talk about that a little bit. A fun list of shows that are better binge-watched. Shows that don't play as well if you have to wait for new episodes or watch an episode at a time. Shows that are more fun to actually wait until a season or two are done and then jump in and then watch them all at once. There's a list out there that has been compiled using Netflix user data on how people are watching these shows. And so an entire list of shows that people tend to watch all at once. The question is, are they doing that because the show is so good that they can't stop, that they just have to have that next installment queuing up right after they finish an episode? Or is it because these are old shows and they're trying to get them in fast before the next season comes out or something like that? So a lot of questions around this. Also, this was sent in by a listener yesterday on the show. I talked about how surprised I was that this Dungeons and Dragons movie was becoming such a hit that people were so excited about it. Critics alike, critics and audiences alike. A listener sent this in. I'd completely forgotten about this, but I've posted it to our Facebook page. I barely remember it, but way back in the 80s, there was a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. Really, this was an actual thing. And it's really funny to go back and look at one. The animation's hilarious because, like I assumed the movie would be, which again it's not proving to be the case. The Dungeons and Dragons cartoon was made very cheaply, but what I'd forgotten about this was actually huge in the 80s. This was a very popular cartoon, and most of the people who watch this cartoon, have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons?
No, that was a little beyond my scope of nerdery.
I couldn't commit.
I saw it in E.T., and I was like, I
forgot about that.
I'm the same. I'm like, this is how I am with video games. I just need like the lowest common denominator, right? Like that's why I think I like shooter games because I'm just like pew pew, and I like when
someone told me once I played that game for 2 years, and I'm like, I'm out.
And I also do.
That's too much commitment for me.
I'm what you call a button masher. Like when I play like Mortal Kombat, like there's somebody that's like down, up, side, and I'm just like, whoosh, whoosh,
yeah,
like I'm the guy that's like just kicking. You know, I'm in the corner
it
kicking.
Works,
yeah,
and
they're like, they're so frustrated.
Yeah,
stop it.
That's how I played Halo.
You know what?
Just close your eyes and hit buttons.
You know what they used to call me when I first started playing Halo? This is back. This dates me. We used to hang like curtains, like sheets in the house, and we'd like use LAN cables between the Xboxes.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, that's where the term screen jacking or screen cheating came from. Remember? Stop screen jacking me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I haven't heard that forever. Wow.
But
that brings back memories.
I know, right? It does.
Yeah, the LAN parties.
Do you ever screen jack somebody?
I remember when LAN parties started to become a bit of a joke, and so when someone would say LAN party, you're like,
What? What is that? What is that?
Yeah.
No, but I remember what I would say gamer I've always loved video games, but I wasn't.
Did you start with?
No,
like Atari.
Yeah, Atari, Pac-Man, Frogger. Then my parents
remember Burger. What was the Burger one on Intellivision?
I know what you're talking about.
And Intellivision had those weird little controllers with the wheel. The little.
Did you ever play Tombstone?
Burger Time.
Did you play Tombstone on the Texas Instruments?
I did. I also had. I had the. Now I can't remember what it is. The guy swinging with vines.
Oh yeah, Pitfall.
Yeah,
Pitfall. No, we had Pac-Man, Frogger. Like what was the game that came with it? The tennis one, like Breakout or whatever it was. Not tennis, but like you just moved that one thing up and down. It was like boop.
Yeah. Frogger and
Frogger. Pong, yeah, that's what it was.
This is my one collector. There's one thing I've collected. Well, I have some Star Wars toys that I should maybe have assessed when it gets to that time in my life. But I have my one collector's item that I actually know is worth money because it works. I have it was something I found at a swap meet. No. An older cousin gave this to me. And I was too young to appreciate it when he gave it to me, but it's a handheld Pong game.
Oh, okay.
A 9-volt battery powered, and it works. You can still put a 9-volt battery in it, and you can still sit there and play Pong.
I think that's what I would tell myself if I went back in the like if Doc Brown showed up tomorrow in the DeLorean, and he was like, Andy, come on, we're going back to when you were a young boy, and he asked me what I wanted to do, and I would go back and I would take myself, and I would first off I'd say, cut that mullet, buddy. The second thing,
I had a permed mullet.
All right.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's back in now.
I would come back and I would say to myself, cut that mullet, and then ride your bike to Jason's house and tell him to unperm his. But I would also say, this Star Wars stuff you have here, you may want to treat it a little nicer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I broke the head off of my Princess Leia, not on purpose, but it happened.
Like, I hate girls.
It happened, and that alone. So I have the Princess Leia that's worth money,
but it doesn't have the head.
But no, I have the head, but it's super glued back on.
Oh yeah,
and that alone drops it from like $5,000 to like $500.
That was like my R2D2.
Yeah.
My sister broke the head off. And, when you have a droid whose head moving is part of the droid's, character, and it doesn't move, that's sad. I was thinking about this. Kids today are really, really lucky, right? Because they've got all these toys that I think these designers today,
you can actually play with them.
When we were kids, they were like, wouldn't it have been cool if we'd had this, right? Because, I'm going to Disneyland this week. I'm going to make a lightsaber. It's Star Wars Land.
Yeah.
And I mean, can you imagine if we'd have had that in like 1981? Like, I was going out and taking the handle off the broom, duct taping the end, and then like spray painting it blue. And I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's so dumb now compared to what they have.
Oh, the same. I remember the little. Speaking of R2D2 figures, the one from Empire Strikes Back, where he has the. Periscope?
Yeah.
But it was like this little plastic thing that would come up about like a quarter of an inch.
Yeah.
Like I look back and I think our toys were so phoned in. Kids these days have toys you can play with.
Well, yeah.
Transformers came along though, and that was pretty high tech.
My parents scored some pretty big things for me when I was growing up. Optimus Prime.
Wow.
I got that, and the Christmas day, I left it sitting on the floor, and my sister stepped on it and broke off his head.
Oh,
it was sad.
Probably
sad
on purpose.
Day. And that was when Megatron was an actual gun.
Yeah, they changed that, but yeah, he used to actually be a pistol.
He was a pistol. Yeah, it was cool too. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna make him into a robot.
Packing a pistol around their pocket.
Oh yeah, I love that. And then my parents would also do these things where they would give me random stuff, right? Like we'd have like a Star Wars, play day with like our buddies in the neighborhood, and somebody'd show up and they'd be like, "Hey man, I got the X-wing." You'd be like, "Dude, that's so cool!" And somebody come up with the TIE fighter. Someone had the AT-AT, and I'm like, "Well, guys, look, if you want to hit me up, I've got the cantina. If anyone wants to come have a drink at the cantina."
I used to.
I've got the cantina and the land speeder.
As a kid, two people excelled at buying me toys for whatever reason, just a random gift or an event or something, and that was my mom and my grandma. my grandma would pick
Grandmas
out,
were awesome at
She
it.
would buy me Star Wars action figures based on, she would look for the ugliest one because she knew I'd like it.
So you had Hammerhead.
And yeah, I had Squid
the little,
Face and yeah. But
Squid Face.
But then once in a while,
what was the other guy? The little badger guy with the
Salacious Crumb.
No, not Jabba the Hutt's like pet. The guy that's in like they'd be in the movie for like 3.5 seconds. You know, where like he's reaching up to the cantina in A New Hope, and he's like,
oh yeah,
it's like a little hedgehog.
I can't remember his name. I did have that one. It was little orange jumpsuit.
Later on, because you wanted those random figures, did you beeline it to or to whatever Kmart and buy Baron Papanoida?
I think I did actually.
George Lucas's guy.
I got a few of the figures just kind of for fun from the prequels, but they weren't as cool. They weren't as.
They were
but
like
I do remember.
now.
Remember when remember when there was a ZCMI,
and they had a good toy section.
Remember they had that secret toy section, like nobody knew it was there.
Wait,
it was
what?
just a little hallway at the back.
Was it inside of the tree, the talking tree?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. That would creep me out. No, but they had that toy section, but it was like just this little, kind of afterthought toy section. But they had the cool stuff because no one would go there for toys, and so yeah. But I never. But back to the purchasing
secret
gifts for
hallway of
nerds.
toys.
So I had other relatives, well-meaning, and I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but they just didn't know how to do it. And so I remember even asking my mom what she said. No, she wasn't making this phone call. But I asked my mom once, and I said, "Would you ask them to stop buying me Star Wars toys? Have them buy me something else. I like getting gifts from them, but they're buying the wrong stuff.
You got Mask?
Like I don't
MASK. Remember
I had
that?
5 Bespin guards. Nobody wanted a Bespin guard. One.
Did you have the cloud car?
Yeah, actually. I got that, though, on accident. I had a friend who had it, and then he left it in my yard and moved.
And
I'm like, scoreboard.
Can I tell you something super nerdy? The cloud car, you know how this is shaped, right? For listeners, it's 2 little pods, and it's an orange kind of, orangish red, and then there was a middle section.
Yeah.
So it was like, think of like if 2 guys were fighting over like who's going to ride the top motorcycle and who's going to ride the sidecar, and they were like, well, what if we both just have a sidecar?
Yeah, like how do you coordinate that?
That's the cloud car.
I'm driving now.
You're not. You know what? Fine. We'll both have a sidecar. You'll both have it, and you'll like it. So it's this little sidecar thing. But here's the thing. If you were a bad kid that didn't know how to take care of stuff, and you took off the cockpit and the decals came off, what it looked like after that was the gun that they used in the black hole.
Oh yeah.
So we would pretend it was the gun from the black hole.
I think I did that too.
And this has been toy
because
time.
you couldn't buy toys from the black hole. They never made
Old
them. Which
Bob.
A huge missed opportunity there. You can buy them now. Collector toy makers.
They haven't really.
They have an Old Bob and a Vincent and Maximilian and all
I
those.
love
But at the
that
time,
movie.
you couldn't. They didn't make them. Disney was like,
Loved.
"Oh, who wants toys?"
I loved that movie. I did
too.
It was in there was
Never understood the ending.
Well, there was a
Still
window when he's in the Maximilian
When his
suit.
eyes-
yeah,
I'm
and
like,
you're like,
what?
wait,
Are
how,
you- what is
how
even-
did you get in there?
This Disney movie got all epistemic.
But you know what's interesting? It has Ernest Borgnine.
What is a soul?
It's got
the Disney movie
Yeah,
asks.
that's right.
A bunch of kids that just came to see the robots.
It's got Ernest Borgnine. And then it had
Yeah.
Robert Forster, who was so great in the early '80s.
Yeah.
He was in that, and then if you, for
He's
those
just kind of, I'm a pirate. Arg.
he
In
was like,
space.
yeah, he was like, I'm serious Han Solo. I'm Captain Kirk, and Han Solo had a baby.
Yeah.
But no, he also had. You remember he was in a movie? It was a TV movie called Alligator, where at the beginning of the
Oh,
movie,
yeah.
somebody flushes an alligator down the toilet,
And
then
somehow
it
it becomes
gets
huge.
Yeah, like Jaws huge.
Yeah.
This is a great. This is a whole nother discussion we should have sometime. Is when something is so popular, right? So, for instance, Jaws.
Yeah.
Right. And then they're like, well, now what can we do? Well, how about an alligator? Right. And Star Wars did the same thing. I mean, Star Wars spawned so many, movies in that. And there was a thirst for it. People wanted it. And I think that's a problem that we're in right now is we're so overloaded with, and I don't mean this in a negative way necessarily because they can be good, but we're so overloaded with superhero movies that people don't want to see anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
I realized, and so I kind of feel like I'm whatever the opposite of a canary is, the canary in the coal mine thing. I'm the opposite of that with a lot of these things because I think my tolerance is much higher when it comes to action overload, superhero movie overload, Star Wars overload. Those, if I really like that stuff, but I realize that I'm the opposite of the canary. I'm whatever comes at the end. Like, okay, now you've really overdone it. But most people are probably the canaries. Most people are probably at a point now where it's not that they think what Marvel's putting out is bad. They're just bored.
Yeah, but I can see that, and when I go to screenings, and here's why: I go to a screening of Ant-Man, and the theater is almost like there's not a lot of people there. There's enough, but not a lot. Not like it was. I go to a screening of whatever it is. I go to a screening of I can't even think of the name. John Wick. I go to John Wick 4, and it's packed. I go to Cocaine Bear, and it's packed. I go to Mithrigan, Megan, as it's known to commoners. Mithrigan, as it's known.
Sounds like a Lord of the Rings.
Mithrigan.
Return of the King Part 3.
I go to that, and it's
Mithrigan.
packed. People, I think what people are looking for right now is they don't want a lot of. I mean, Oscar movies have always been polarizing, so it's not that.
Yeah.
They want something. They just want a break. They want a break from. If Star Wars came back right now with some new movies, like in the next couple years, people would be like, "Okay, cool." I still think it's too soon, but superhero movies, people are tired. I hear this all the time. I'm tired of Marvel. I'm tired of DC.
And again, it's not
superheroes.
that they're bad. It's not that each. Like I'll probably go. Well,
it's just boring. It's more boring than it was.
I finally got to the point where I watched I read some of the preliminary talk of this new Captain America, and kind of the back of my brain there was a part of me eye rolling.
Well, when I saw the title announced, and after watching the whole Falcon and the Snowman or whatever it's called, what we were talking about,
I still think they should have called it that.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that rolls off the tongue. When we saw that, I remember thinking to myself, I can't. This is not a movie I'm excited for. But then I see Harrison Ford's in it. And they're actually going to bring the whole Eternals thing back into it. Because remember we saw the Eternals, and I was like, how come in no subsequent movie no one was ever like, hey, anybody out there in the ocean see that?
Wasn't mentioned.
Anyone see that huge alien fist sticking out of the ocean that's like, the size of a planet?
I mean, it did kind of. That was one of the weird thing about the
shifted
Eternals.
Earth's orbit.
So I watched the Eternals knowing where it was supposed to fall in the timeline.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I mean, I know what was going on in New York right then for the Avengers was kind of serious, but at the same time,
well,
I feel like they should have had some of this other stuff on their radar too.
And what's the
line? Big fist in the ocean.
What's the line?
What's that? I don't know. We should be concerned.
My favorite is when I can't remember what they say. Something to Captain Marvel. I think Don Cheadle says something like, well, where you been all this time? And she's like, you're not the only planet in the universe, which makes sense, right? Yeah. You guys don't get all the patrols.
Yeah.
But on the same sense, too, there are some things where you go, hey, wait a minute. Why don't you just pick up the phone and make a phone call,
Why weren't all these people talking?
Well,
here's my issue with the Eternals.
They put in DC.
Why didn't they speak up?
But remember at one point too,
they saw all this stuff happening, and Tony Stark's kind of putting it all on his shoulders, and they're all just like, it looks like he's got it.
Well, and then they do the whole thing of, he goes, hey, are you Superman? And I'm like, wait, what are we doing now? Like, are we crossing universes here?
I was so worried at that part. I thought, oh, don't, please.
They're like, Avengers, Thanos is coming. Superman's like, you guys need help? They're like, nah, sit this one out. We know you could just literally pick him up and fly him into the sun, but we're good. We're good, and leave that Batman fella at home too.
We have to take our news break here. I thought we were getting an incoming call. We're hoping for an update from KVN News. Will feel right on the Walmart situation, but
what's happening?
Here we go.
Did I miss the news?
Yes, actually, if you listen for a second, Bill will fill you in. A KVNU News update with the latest on the evacuation of North Walmart with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. And we're awaiting further word on that. Hopefully we'll get a report here shortly from KVNU's Will Philwright. But the North Logan Walmart evacuated because of a bomb threat. And let's get the latest now from KVNU's Will Philwright. Will?
Yeah, the store does still remain evacuated as bomb-sniffing dog Bill is going through the departments of the store, checking for anything suspicious. Now, what happened is about 3:20 this afternoon, North Park Police Chief Kent Goodrich said that an employee called 911 after two teenage boys allegedly approached them in the store claiming they had a bomb and then walked out of the building. The employee was able to provide a description of the suspects, and employees began evacuating everyone from the store as law enforcement from throughout the valley responded. Customers were told just to leave and that the store would remain closed for some time. Law enforcement cordoned off the store and the parking lot and began making a sweep through the building, verifying that no one was inside. Police then requested a bomb squad and the bomb-sniffing dogs to assist them in looking for any threat. So far, there have not been any reports of anything to suggest that this threat may be credible, but officers did also review security camera footage from the store. They believe they have footage of the suspects leaving in a white passenger car that they're now looking for. But law enforcement from throughout the valley still remains on site here from North Park, Logan City, Utah State, Smithfield City. Both Cache County and Franklin County Sheriff's Office deputies are here, and North Logan Fire and Logan City firefighters were also called to stage in the area in a parking lot to the north of the store just as a precaution. Chief Goodrich explaining that this heavy police presence is mainly out of an abundance of caution, just given the state of the affairs throughout the country over the last several days. As he was talking to me, noted that shooting that had happened earlier this week in Nashville, followed by the school shooting threat hoaxes that we had earlier this week, even here in North Logan. He said that police just couldn't be more careful enough, and so they are just making sure that this threat is a hoax. But at this point, they have not yet ruled that it is, and officers are not speculating when the store will be reopened. Now, a number of employees are still gathered on the very far west end of the parking lot, huddled together, waiting to see if they'll go back into the store. Police are not letting any customers even into the parking lot right now until they determine exactly as to whether or not the building will be safe to re-enter this afternoon. Reporting live from North Logan, Will Philwright for KVNU News.
All right. Thank you again, Will, for that report. In other news, Utah is no longer in an extreme drought for the first time in nearly 3 years. Data from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln U.S. Drought Monitor Map, which updates with the nation's drought status state by state every week. Utah came out of the extreme drought it had been in since June 2020 on Thursday. Utah Snow Survey Supervisor Jordan Clayton told KUTV every basin in Utah has exceeded 160% of normal snowpack, and that a large number of major basins have exceeded 200%. And the Ellen Eccles Theater celebrated its 100th anniversary in a night filled with contemporary talent and cherished memories. On Wednesday night, the American Festival Chorus and Orchestra performed a medley of romantic Hollywood soundtrack music, followed by pianist Cahill Smith's instrumental solos. And then last night was movie night with the showing of The Rabbit of Seville, a short cartoon, and then Back to the Future Part 1 last evening, which kind of brings back the memories of the old Capitol Theater. Tonight, it's a performance by Grammy Award-winning artists Mark Cohn and Sean Colvin to wrap up the celebration at the Ellen Eccles Theater. KBNU weather brought to you by Whole Tree Care. Spring is here, whether it feels or looks like it or not. Enjoy 15% off all tree trimming services. Call 435-760-6587. Call now before they get real super busy. Tonight, mostly cloudy, then partly cloudy skies overnight, low in the mid-20s. Partly cloudy and then mostly cloudy skies on Saturday, mid-40s, before more storms roll in the latter part of the weekend. Today's high was 41. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
My hearing started to go right around the same time my wife started naming off all the upgrades she wanted done on the house. I figured it was selective hearing. To be honest, I was actually pretty upset when it was suggested that I might need hearing aids, but ultimately I knew it was time for a change.
At Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, we can help you regain the confidence that you're hearing life the way it was meant to be heard.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Visit CacheHearing.com for details.
Hi, this is Dan Jessup of Jessup Insurance and Retirement Services. Medicare can be very complicated and frustrating. The saying that you've heard all of your life, work smarter, not harder, is excellent advice for most things in life, including Medicare. At Jessup Insurance and Retirement Services, we help you become smarter about Medicare, saving you time by simplifying the whole process and helping you avoid all the frustration. Why not work smarter, not harder? Call us at Jessup Insurance, 435-213-3200, or Google Jessup Insurance.
Jessup Insurance and Retirement Services. Let us guide you.
Easter brunch at Hamilton's at the Club. That's right, Hamilton's at the Country Club is hosting Cache Valley's premier Easter brunch at the Logan Country Club from 10 till 2. This wonderful Easter brunch is open to the public. Enjoy the one-of-a-kind location at the mouth of Logan Canyon. Enjoy a buffet with fresh entrees that everyone will love. Make your reservations today by calling 753-6020. That's 753-6020. Sunday Easter brunch at Hamilton's at the Country Club.
The annual Greater Cache Valley Economic Summit, brought to you by Cache Valley Chamber of Commerce, is Wednesday, April 19th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. This year's keynote speakers feature Michael Jeanfro, Pat Jones, Sharon Giles, and Phil Dean. Enjoy a great day of learning, networking, engaging breakout sessions, and lunch catered by Elements Restaurant. Register now at cashchamber.com. It's the annual Greater Cache Valley Economic Summit, Wednesday, April 19th at the Riverwoods Conference Center.
If your clothes are taking too long to dry, don't run out and buy a new dryer without first checking the vent. Clothes dryer vents can get clogged with lint, and birds can even build a nest in them. If your clothes are taking too long to dry, simply check the outside of your vent, and if you don't feel a swift amount of air, it's probably clogged. Simply clean the vent, and your dryer should work like new. Or, if your vent is too long or too difficult to clean yourself, then give the Duct Hunter a call at 770-4813.
The Above and Beyond Salute.
Is Randy Adams there?
That's him.
My name is Will Feelright. I'm calling to give you a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
No, we want to thank you. Someone contacted our radio station saying how you're an amazing deputy. How long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
Been about 9 years.
What division are you in?
I'm in the jail division.
Well, Randy, thank you for what you do and going above and beyond in our community.
Well, thank you.
Submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting kvnutalk.com.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules. Hey.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People movie show. Again, if you're just tuning in, an update there during the news from KVNU's Will Feelright on the scene at North Logan Walmart, which was evacuated this afternoon after a bomb threat was made. Keep an eye on CashValleyDaily.com as we learn more through the evening. The story there will be updated. Right now, again, the latest is they are still sweeping the building, hoping this was just two teenagers making a really bad decision, because this is actually a serious crime. A hoax.
They need to do some jail time.
Honestly, well, a lot. This was.
I mean, I'm being serious.
I was curious about this when the story first broke, thinking, okay, hopefully this is a hoax. And so I went and looked because I didn't really know. I knew it was a felony in some situations, but I didn't know.
It's a federal crime, isn't it?
Yeah. There was a kid created a fake Instagram account. No. Actually, it doesn't say which social media platform, but it was a fake account on a social media platform, and made a threat against his school. He was 18, and he was 17 at the time. He wanted school to be canceled. So he made this fake account and then said, I've planted a bomb at the school, a fake bomb hoax, like what happened here in Cache Valley this week. 27 months in jail.
That's a long time.
Yeah. That's what he ended up with from that. It was, and they tend to prosecute it to send a message.
Yeah.
Which means not a lot of the judge saying, "Oh, you're young, I'll cut the sentence in half."
No.
It's usually throw the book at you kind of situation.
Yep. And it should be.
It really should, because people could be hurt, and so hopefully this is a hoax. But right now, that hasn't been determined by law enforcement, who are still sweeping the building there. And again, as Will said, we'll keep the story updated through the evening at CacheValleyDaily.com, and the news breaks here on KVNU throughout the night. But don't expect that Walmart to open anytime soon. And one final note on this, too, before we get back to the movie content. We had several reports over the last couple of hours here from listeners, and multiple people saying traffic is being impacted by this because of the rubbernecking. With that large of a police presence, obviously people are going to notice as they go by. So traffic apparently slowing, and one listener at least saying they were in a bit of a fender bender when someone behind them wasn't paying attention. So if you can avoid the area, do so, definitely, probably into the evening here at least, and we'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the movies.
Yeah, so really quick, I know you might have already started talking about this, but wanted to give everyone an idea of
all I've talked about is Dungeons and Dragons with 5.6 million.
Yeah. So here
in 12 hours.
Yeah. No, it's
that blows me away that this movie is going to end up being a hit.
It's getting really good reviews of being just kind of. A lot of times movies like this, when they try to be something they're not, this movie's just embracing the silliness of it. You know what I mean?
Well, and I wasn't a critic because I love that they make fan movies for fans. But I just kind of chalked it up as that, and not being a fan, I didn't plan to see it.
No, I'm
and now I'm going to have to.
I wasn't super excited for this. I thought, okay, it's.
I had the same reaction I had when Mortal Kombat, the last one, came out.
Yeah, that's
like not my thing. I'm glad people enjoy it. I'm glad they keep making them. I'll be watching something else.
I thought not my thing. I thought half-baked CGI, a few actors that I recognize. And then I saw a clip of them in a graveyard trying to get some clues from a dead man. It's some spell. And they're like, you can ask him 3 questions, and they just bungle it. But it's almost kind of like the Laurel and Hardy Who's on First. It just was so funny. I think Chris Pine is actually very funny.
I've thought for a long time he should stay away from the serious roles.
Yeah,
because he is great as the straight man in a comedy situation.
He is, and so I think he's one of the bright spots. I think the whole cast is. So it's I'm happy to see that. But again, so now playing this weekend in both the Megaplex theaters here, you've got Dungeons and Dragons. That's the new movie opening. I did not get a chance. I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to California tomorrow to build a lightsaber to become a Jedi.
You leave tomorrow?
Yeah, 4:30 in the morning, really early.
And you're doing You're doing multiple days, right?
Yeah, and I also think if things go well tomorrow, this isn't confirmed, but if things go well tomorrow, I may be making a visit to the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in Los Angeles. And if I do that, I will post some pictures because that's been on my bucket list.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go.
It just opened, I think, in the last year or so. COVID delayed it a little bit.
It's huge, too, right?
I'm excited. Looks like Epcot Center. So that's playing. His Only Son, a religious movie, is playing. I thought it was a sequel to Pinocchio, but then I saw the poster.
Realized that wasn't it.
Totally kidding. Somebody's like, that's not funny, man. I know it's not.
It's kind of funny.
I'm just teasing. John Wick.
I did a whole show this week about people needing to lighten up.
John Wick Chapter
Did you see
4.
this? There was a video of set to the Pointer Sisters, I'm So Excited, but it was I'm So Indicted. And it was hilarious.
And somebody was mad.
And you really couldn't call this a political thing at all. It was just funny.
Yeah.
And man, people, a Salt Lake Tribune reporter shared it, just saying, this is kind of funny. Somebody's kind of creative.
Somebody's mad.
And man, they lit this person up, and he had to shut his Twitter account down. Like,
Well,
man, people just need to lighten up.
There was two things. When we talk about making fun of like public figures or political figures, there's a clip of Joe Biden that I like to share all the time.
I know which one.
When people are like, "Hey, how much do you spend on shoes per year?" and I play the clip where he's like, $1,000,000,000, $1,000,000,000,000, $1,000,000,000,000,000 billion dollars. I think it's funny.
We need to be able to kind of laugh about some of these things.
I also made the joke that when the cast of Ted Lasso went to the White House last week, and they were talking about mental health, and Roy Kent was sitting, his name's not Roy Kent, Brett Goldstein, the man that plays Roy Kent, was sitting next to the president, and somebody said, "What do you think that they talked about?" And I said, "I think he probably leaned over and went, I think you might be dying." Because, he's old.
Speaking of that, hey, I'm glad you reminded me when you said he leaned over and said to him. So everyone's been wondering, as Gwyneth Paltrow's trial, famous actress Gwyneth Paltrow in Park City all week. She won. She got her $1 that she countersued for and legal fees. And as she left the courtroom after the judge
she
ruled,
flipped the bird.
She put her hand on the doctor that was suing her shoulder. And leaned over and said something to him. Now, I caught wind of this because there was a hilarious meme that went around.
Oh, no.
Which was, in quotations, use the code word GOOP for 15% off.
That's what she said?
I laughed so hard at that tweet. No, what she actually said, KUTV News reported this last night because they asked her attorney what was said because this meme had gotten so much traction, this joke meme about her saying, use the code word GOOP for 15% off at GOOP. She actually, I thought this was so great. She put her hand on his shoulder and leaned over and said, "I wish you well," and then walked out of the courtroom. I mean, this is a guy that was suing her for millions over what started to really look like a story he stretched quite a bit. He couldn't go to wine tastings anymore. Anyway,
no.
So the next time she's in a movie, I might go see it. I've been boycotting her because I think Goop is dangerous and causing actual harm.
She's a little bit of a witch doctor.
Yeah. It's her refusal to acknowledge
that it's witch doctory.
That's what bothers me about her. She is a believer.
Yeah, the other
steamers and the ozone enemas and all, all that she was on a podcast talking about her ozone enemas, and I just
is
think
she one of the ones that goes out into nature and
get hurt,
kind of aims for the sun?
I guarantee she's looked at an eclipse. Is that what you're saying?
No, not with her face. Not with her face. With other.
Oh,
there's
I
a whole.
forgot that was a trend.
There's a whole.
That was just for alpha bros, though, wasn't it?
Oh, was it an alpha bro thing?
The tanning thing.
That guy with the tight jeans and the little white boots.
Tucker Carlson actually talked about that on his show.
Does Tucker do that? That makes a lot of sense.
He said he did.
Oh, that makes me sad. Anyway, going back to the movies.
It seems like a bad place for a sunburn.
Shazam is still in theaters, by the way. I mentioned John Wick Chapter 4.
Shazam turned out to be a huge disappointment.
And kind of it is. I mean, it's
the first one was a surprise hit in my mind.
Yeah, but the first one came out at a right time, too. It came out in the 2018, 2019. People were like, hey, Shazam, that's fun, right? And now we're in this... Honestly, if I was a studio getting ready to release a superhero movie, I would just be like, tense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe we'll sit on this one for...
Even if you're Marvel and DC, I mean, I wouldn't. It's not a matter of sitting on it. You're just like literally licking your finger and putting it into the wind going, well, I wonder what'll happen, right? Because, I mean, you know what made me laugh, though, is I was watching Graham Norton, who I think is the best late night talk show host.
I forgot about Graham Norton.
And he had Pedro Pascal and I can't remember the other lady. She was in West Side Story, and then Helen Mirren. And he's shifted from Pedro talking about, being in The Mandalorian and The Last of Us, and he shifted over to Helen Mirren. He says, now you're in Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Talk to us about it. What's it about? And she just was like, I don't know. they got some whiz dings and bang dinglings, and there's a lot of. It's one of those talkies with all the computers in it.
All the stuff
it
going
was
on.
so funny. She just basically was like, I don't know. She was just like, he's took our powers and we're mad. That's what she said. And I was laughing so hard because I thought,
pretty funny.
You know, there's two groups of old school actors, right? It's like you have like folks like Helen Mirren who are like, I don't know, I just want a job, right? And then you got people that are like Martin Scorsese's who are like, these are ruining, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
is he still mad?
I don't know.
I don't know anything from him.
Yeah, you know, here's the thing: like
kids these days, and they're streaming.
Well,
and they're
you know, we've talked about this a couple of times. Like, there's reasons that some people don't want to go to a movie anymore.
I think there's a better example to use right from this week because this happened with this movie Tetris. From Apple Plus.
Yeah, that comes out today.
So it was in a handful of theaters for a week, and then it hits Apple Plus. And I'm guessing this will be good, but that is what a movie that's perfect for a movie like this. Make some money off of it in a handful of theaters, a limited release nationwide. I think it was in like 60 theaters nationwide. Make the money you can from that. Put it on Apple Plus. That to me is. It's an avenue for movies like this that I'm glad they make, but this was never going to be a theater blockbuster.
But there's an issue though, really quick.
And well, I guess my point is I think less of this stuff is getting made if you go back to dependent on the theaters.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody makes a document or a fictionalized documentary of the development of Tetris. But I want to see it.
I don't entirely disagree with you. I just think. They were before COVID hit. They released 900 movies. You know what I mean? This is what I think, Jason. I think there is going to be. You're going to see a continuing conflict between studios, theater distributors. You know, like AMC, Megaplex, whatever, all the chains.
Yeah.
And filmmakers between. What gets shown when? I don't think studios know how to do it right now.
That's what I'm trying to say is they need to stop fighting. The same thing happened with music downloading and streaming music. Everybody fought it. Everybody pretended it was a fad. Everybody sued. Everybody, and in the end, they had to land where all of the users knew they were going to land in the first place,
right.
Which is, hey, how about you just figure out how to make it work? It ain't going away. And that's where we're at, I think.
Same thing with streaming, yeah.
So I like that more movies are probably... Maybe I shouldn't say more movies are getting made, because that's a good point about the 900. But it's a lot more accessible. Because some of those 900, I never got a chance to see because they never came near here.
And most you won't, right?
But if they're ending up on Apple Plus or Disney or well, not Disney, Netflix, then I can watch them at home.
It's always,
and I love that.
It's a gamble always. I mean, that's always a gamble with Hollywood, right? Is they have to look at the year and what they distribute and think, what am I going to get? What's going to be what everyone wants to see? There's always tentpole stuff like Mission Impossible, Top Gun, Star Wars, Marvel, whatever.
Which is kind of a nice segue into, we've got like under 3 minutes to do it, so maybe I shouldn't even bring it up when we do it next week. But have you looked at the calendar for spring?
Yeah.
It's kind of an example of what you're talking about, I think.
Well, and next week's going to be interesting. So we'll probably have 2 or 3 reviews next week. We're going to talk Super Mario Brothers, which is a big release, but which weirdly they're not screening for the press until like a couple days before, and that's usually not a good sign.
Really?
It means that they don't want you talking about it early. Not because there's spoilers, but because they don't want negative press.
They don't want
the other movie.
They don't want all the critics out there going, don't waste your money.
Then surprise, there's the other movie we're going to talk about next week is Air with Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. It's a Ben Affleck project directed. I think it's probably one of the dumbest titles. That it's the story of how they Nike basically made the Air Jordan, right? So there's that, and then we're going to talk about we will revisit Dungeons and Dragons, but Dungeons and Dragons, a movie I didn't think would be have high praise, is getting praised and universally loved, and then you've got Air, which people are talking about as an Oscar movie potentially.
How did I not hear about this one? What was the last thing Damon directed?
Affleck, the last thing he directed, I don't. That's a great question. I'll have to go back and look.
They kind of But
he
they
was
both
supposed
did
to do
Goodwill Hunting, right?
Yeah, but Affleck
and then one of them
did,
stopped.
Yeah, Damon hasn't really written or directed anything, but old Ben Affleck has. He did Gone Baby Gone, The Town, stuff like that. He did Argo, which and then he was going to do the Batman, and he backed out, and that's where Matt Reeves took over. So,
which is actually, I'm really glad, because that. Not saying Affleck wouldn't have done it as well, but that ended up being really good.
I don't think it was supposed to be him. Yeah. A lot to talk about, and we can also lay out the rest of the spring and summer too.
Sounds good.
Big stuff.
Also, big announcement today. Quentin Tarantino announced he had finished the script for what he said will be his final movie. He wanted to make 10. This is the 10th, if you count Kill Bill as one movie. Kill Bill 1 and 2. So Quentin Tarantino fans, you got one more, and that's it. Also, some breaking news here. You'll hear more during the news break, but we just got word that all clear at the North Logan Walmart after a bomb threat led to evacuation today. The store has just now reopened without finding a bomb, so it looks like this was a hoax.